I think a booking or sponsoring seed is something you say or do to get people thinking about hosting or sponsoring. Hints for people to pick up in or nuggets of information that they think about after you have talked or met. Awesome. We have 44 people so far. That's great. Right on. Okay, everyone. Well, I'm going to start by sharing our agenda. Keep telling us what you think booking seeds are, if it's something different than what people are saying. So welcome. I'm Miranda DeRusso, Senior Director with Epicure. And I'm going to basically, we've got some amazing ladies today, and we're giving you some ideas for planting that summer garden. So as you know, our new catalog is starting soon, May 4th, right? And we've got a whole season ahead of us, and we want to make that as strong of a season as we can, and that starts now. Really planting that garden now will help to ensure that it blossoms when you need it to, when you need things to be busy. So today what you're going to hear is we have Charlotte. She's going to tell us a little bit about planting seeds for booking and sponsoring in a cooking class. Julie's going to share with us how to plant seeds in your VIP group. I'm going to share how to anticipate objections and how to overcome them with seeds. So I'm excited for that. And then we have Melanie, who's going to help us water those seeds. And that's all about the follow-up. So I'm excited. Let's just get going. Charlotte's going to take it away. Tell us all about planting seeds for sponsoring and booking in a cooking class. Charlotte?
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me on. I love this topic. Oh, I'm going to start my timer. I'm not going to be over my 5-minute time limit. So I am a firm believer, whether in person or online, however we're doing our classes, but we'll talk mostly about online. This all is totally transferable to in person. No matter what we do, when we show up, we're talking about food. So we are instantly connected by the fact that everyone eats food, right? Unless there's some sort of medical, setup, the average person is eating food, and that is what connects us, right? So we're not selling something that nobody in the room can relate to. And we're delicious. It's clean eating. It's affordable. It's not just for women, for men, for a certain age group, like kids, elderly, single people, big families. No matter what, the people in your class are going to be able to go take the information, go forward and shop, right? So just by showing up and doing a great job, you get a check mark. They're going to shop, and that's a whole separate topic on how to make sure they shop and stuff. But what your most important thing you can possibly sell is the business pieces, because they're not going to immediately know that they get to book a class. They're not going to immediately know that they can join your team. They're not going to immediately know all these things. That's the part you have to sell. So if I'm doing a demo and I have my camera like pointed at my hands and I'm slicing a tomato, that is a perfect time to talk about the knife for, 5 seconds. But you can fill that awkward amount of time when you're slicing that knife with talking about how you could get that knife for free for hosting, or how it came in your business kit, or, the products you're talking about. You can talk about them, but then add these little nuggets like naturally. So it's not awkward. The more awkward you feel about talking about booking seeds and sponsoring seeds, they'll feel that. But if it's just natural, like, hey, I love my steamer. By the way, I actually got this in my business kit a year ago when I joined, and it's still in the kit today, or, whatever, right? And if you don't naturally speak off the cuff, that's what these are for. Sticky notes, little sticky notes. Put a sticky note and put it behind, like, your camera's here, you're cooking, put a sticky note on the wall where they can't see it, so you don't forget, like, the seeds you want to talk about. Like, and to get started, maybe pick 3 things. I want to talk about my steamer, I want to talk about, my knife, and I want to talk about how much I love my paycheck, right? Something. You want to talk about these things through your class. So I actually like to be pretty direct a couple times. So I like to start my cooking class by saying some variation of, thank you for coming. The end of the class, we're all going to shop because we're all here to support Miranda's Epicure party. And the more we buy, the more she gets for free. You have to kind of tell them how it works, right? And also after you do your shopping, right? So I'm just kind of implying grocery shopping. That's the wording, right? After you're all done your own grocery shopping, I'll be checking in with each of you and I'll be asking you if you'd like to host a class or if you'd like to join my team. So kind of watch as the night goes along, watch how easy Miranda's job is. Trust me, everyone, it's very easy to host. You know, watch me. My kitchen's a mess in the background. I'm not going to be perfect. So that's a booking seed right there for the person watching thinking, I got to be perfect, right? There, you just say it kind of upfront, watch me, I'm just having fun. And also my family's going to eat this cooking, you know, so it kind of is awesome. I'm just making supper for tomorrow night with all my new friends. Then while you're cooking throughout the demo, that's when you put the seeds, right? So they've already had it in the forefront of their mind. You told them that they had the choice to join or to host. You told them that straight up. So now while you're dropping your booking seeds, they're going to land a little differently because they actually know what you're talking about. And they might already have had the thinking moment. So they might have already had that flash thought, oh, fun, I could do this. You know, and we all have that thought. I don't know about you. Maybe I'm just a direct sales like lover, but whenever I'm in anyone else's party, I'm like, you're getting free nail polish. I want free nail polish. You're getting free leggings. I want free leggings. Nod your head, like, yeah, all direct salespeople probably would feel that in our core, some of us, right? So I like to make sure they know that they can do it because not all direct sales customers know they have those options. So planting your seeds just naturally throughout your conversation. I was just talking about this actually with another consultant right before this call. You have to say something 7 times for someone to truly hear it. So for us, especially if you're not used to doing this, it feels awkward. Like, I feel like I've already mentioned this a lot of times, you know, but they have to hear it a different way and a different wording and multiple times. So they have to kind of have those seeds so that by the time you do get to the end and you thank them and you offer them a class of their own or you offer them to join your team, they've kind of absorbed it multiple ways in multiple wordings and examples. So I just challenge you all, if you're not used to saying it 7 times, start with a nice intro and mention it 3 or 4 times and then do a wrap up. Thank you all. Reminder, I'll be messaging you if you want to book a class, yada, yada, yada. Just kind of wrap it all up nicely one last time.
Beautiful, Charlotte. I love that. And it's so true. You have to hear it 7 times. So plant 7 seeds. If you had 7 little sticky notes kind of around your setup away from the camera and just pull it off when you've done it, that's kind of hard sometimes to keep track of. But what you can also do is go back and watch your recording and write down every time you set a seed and see. I challenge you guys to do a cooking class, try to plant 7 seeds and go back and watch to see if you got those 7 seeds. Love it. Right on. Now we're going to head to Julie Gorman. She's going to share with us, and I'm so excited. I've got my notepad ready, just like I did for Charlotte. I love these ladies, but I'm going to write. I know I'm going to be taking notes. But Julie, tell us, you have a rockin' VIP group. How do you plant sponsoring and booking seats within your group?
Well, I start off, I was going to say like ditto to what Charlotte said and just do that in your VIP group, but that probably wouldn't be fair. So anyway, first of all, in the chat, I want you guys to share with me who's a gardener because I'm going to start dropping a lot of gardening metaphors because I am a gardener. So you got to let me know if you have a green thumb or a brown thumb as well. All right, so what I'm going to share with you, I'm going to go total gardening here, is the VIP group is like one row of your garden, okay? So I want you to think of it maybe as the tomato row, or perhaps you prefer beets, because when you're thinking of like what Charlotte just shared, the cooking class, you know, you've got your Facebook page, you're sharing in your email, you're going to drop seeds in a variety of different places, but we're going to talk about one row of your garden. And your garden is going to need a variety of different things. So you want to think about 3 things. So you need some content, that's kind of the seeds. You need some consistency, that's your water. And you need community, that's the nurturing. And those are the 3 key things you want to focus on. And they really end up being a really key part of your customer service. So when you think about the content as your seeds, you're going to grow these plants and you want to, work at harvesting them, right? So these seeds are booking seeds, sponsoring seeds, and selling seeds. You want to sell the products as well. And all of these seeds you plant, but I'm going to give you a little FYI, some of these seed varieties, and there's different varieties in all of these categories, they grow at different speeds. So some are like peas and they grow in 2 weeks. Others are like ginseng and they take 5 years. So sometimes you got to have a little dash of patience when we're gardening, okay? Number 2 is consistency. Consistency is spreading out the seeds so that you can, harvest them over 12 months. As I was thinking about this, we really don't want to just plant a garden that's just going to, be fruitful in the summer or the fall. Think of a greenhouse. You want to be constantly planting those seeds and doing them like, I've got some Dutch friends that are awesome at, like, you plant beans, at the beginning of May, and you plant some more beans in the middle of May, and you plant some more beans at the end of May. So you're going to have different harvest times. And I'm telling you that as much as this is all about gardening, you're going to trust me, you're going to get all this because you're going to keep watering and you're going to keep fertilizing. Sometimes you got to weed in your seeds and you got to do some adjusting. You got to prune sometimes these things. And that's where that patience comes in, and just keep planting. And then the third component is you want to think about community, because there's not just one gardener in your VIP group. You want to get your customers, your hostesses, even your team members involved in your group so that everybody's sort of sharing, because what you're going to find is as you talk to these plants and you interact and you pet them, they're going to grow. So now in the chat, what I want you guys to share with me, some examples of seeds that you already do in your VIP group, just for fun, just to see where you guys are at. And then I'm going to keep sharing some more. So like we've mentioned, or like you're going to might hear, or maybe this is the first time you're going to hear it, but seeds are not the ask. Seeds lead to the ask of booking or joining or inviting people to learn more about what we do. Seeds are about sharing information, like what does hosting look like? Seeds are telling a story. How has, Epicure affected you? Seeds are sharing experiences, like, changes that you've seen in your business. You want to ask, seeds are like how things make you feel, what excites you, what excites your family, what excites your children. Definitely seeds are solving problems, like asking, answering that question, what the fork is for dinner. Share your problems. You want to be real with people, and you're going to offer choices and solutions and how-tos. Those are all seeds, because like I said, you got to do a little bit of, the consistency in the content, and you got to keep sprinkling, and you got to hit all the different people and what they want. Now, like I said, I'm going to go back to my notes. I got a little discombobulated, but again, I want you to remember, you're going to help everyone, those community gardeners. Okay. All right. So very quickly, seeds come in varieties. So I want you to think about, it's not just verbal, like what Charlotte was saying, like in your cooking classes, but when you're in your VIP group, you're going to be doing a video, you're going to be doing a live. Maybe you're doing like a bit of a blog. You're telling a story about what's going on in your kitchen. Maybe you're sharing an article. Maybe you're sharing a recipe, shopping tips, nutrition tips, images, Epicure posts that you've copied from their Facebook page. And so again, in the chat, I want you guys to share with me, again, what's a seed? Like as I've been throwing these out there and throwing different seeds, start thinking about some of the seeds that you have planted, or some of the seeds that you now are thinking, oh, I could say that. And because someone else on this call needs to hear them. But what's most important is when you plant these seeds is you need a little call to action, because sometimes we think, and Charlotte alluded to this, we got to kind of bring it all together, because sometimes people aren't quite picking up what we're putting down. So you have to do a little call to action, and you do that 80% of the time you do a call to action, 20% of the time you just sort of let it fluff out there, because you want to say things like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. I got this in my business kit, and I would love for you guys, to have that same opportunity. Hey, by the way, the business kit's on special this month or something. That's a call to action. Now, you also, a tip before I go into some more examples of seeds, don't mix up your seeds. So as much as, we're a VIP group is just the tomato row, when you're thinking of the consistency, you want to have sort of themes and ideas. And we've talked about this in other things, other trainings as well. Monday motivation, Tuesday tips, winning Wednesdays. You want to kind of sort that stuff out, because that builds out that consistency for you guys as well. And you want to schedule your posts, because you don't want to be in your garden all the time, because a watched garden doesn't grow. Trust me. All right. So we wanted to give you some examples of seeds. So if I was doing something along the lines of hostess, a hostess seed, and I was in a video and I'm doing a demo, and I feel like I'm going to be repeating some of the stuff that Charlotte had said, but like you're using the steamer and saying something like, oh my gosh, this steamer is likely my host's most favorite item for choosing a half price item. That's a seed. If I was doing a post, I might ask one of my hostesses to share a picture of everything that she got with her shopping spree, and maybe share with her, share with everybody how easy it was to host. Maybe I was going to share an article from a website that I enjoy that shows me or explains how meal plans are going to save you time and money. And then I might say, and while you're at it, host a class and get your stuff for free. You know, those are hostess seeds. A customer seed would be posting a recipe. Here's a link to the meal plans that also take them to your website with your shopping link. On your personal timeline, showing you having dinner, showing that you're making dinner. And by the way, the video is in my VIP group. Or wishing a customer happy birthday on their timeline and saying, I'm so glad I met you through Epicure. The last one would be about sponsoring, again, a video cooking class demo. Now you're going to say, hey, I got that steamer in my business kit. That was one of the best perks of joining Epicure. A post could be, I just paid off my credit card with my Epicure money, or I just paid for my son's hockey, or I just paid for my daughter's dance. Those kinds of things really resonate with people. And the last little one I have is one of my favorites, and I see this all the time within this community, is sharing your friends' successes on their timeline, congratulating them when they show up in the podium, or especially on Thursday night when we're going to have our gala. You know, letting people know that you've recognized them and the accomplishments that they've made in the business. People don't realize what we have to offer. So I want you to keep sharing more examples in the chat, because someone needs to hear your seed. You've got something planted in there. And I'm going to finish off by just saying happy planting.
Thank you so much, Julie. You kind of opened my eyes. You know, I try to plant these booking seeds all the time, but you've probably opened a lot of people's eyes that we already plant these seeds. A lot of times we don't even realize we're doing it. Like recognition posts, for example, or a post on someone's timeline. I would never have considered that a seed, but that absolutely is. I love that. Thank you for all of your ideas. You're such a genius. Okay, so what I want to talk to right now about is anticipating objections. So when in our business, we hear often, if we ask people to join our team, or we ask people to have cooking classes, we hear common objections as to why they don't want to or why they can't. And one thing that I've learned is to try to anticipate those and answer those questions and overcome those objections before I even get to talking to them face to face. So now they're watching my cooking class demo, and I'm thinking, okay, my most common objection, and I'm kind of scoping out some of the people that are coming to my cooking class, and this person seems super busy. She's a doctor and she's got kids at home. So I know if I were to ask her or give her any information on the opportunity, she's going to tell me she's busy. So I like to nab that objection in my demo and talk about how, for example, let's say let's say I want to address the fact that someone's really busy. I'm too busy. We hear that all the time. So when I'm doing my demo, what I might say is, what I really love about my job is that even though I have an incredibly busy life, I still can work my Epicure business because I just work it around my own schedule. And I might say that while I'm stirring brownies, or like Charlotte was saying, chopping cucumbers. It's just something to throw out there, and you're planting that seed. So what I might do first is show off the steamer and say how awesome it is that this comes in the business kit. And then say something about how I love that even though I'm super busy, I'm a Zumba instructor, I've got 3 kids at home, I still can work Epicure. So you've now, when you go to chat with that person later, because as Melanie will show us in a few minutes, you have to follow up. You can't just plant seeds and then expect everyone to just, blossom right away. You've got to water them. So Melanie's going to show us that. But now when you do water those seeds later, you've already answered that question. So she might say, but I am too busy. And you might refer back to that moment in your class when, you mentioned that it's okay that you're busy. In fact, busy people do the best here. So another objection that I always hear, I don't know about anyone else, but I don't know anyone. So I try to always, every class, because you're going to have that shyer person, and I can relate because I'm an introvert, who is going to tell you when you ask them about the opportunity that they just don't know anyone, they're too shy. And so I love to throw that seed in my cooking class right away. Every class I always mention about how, when I first started, my social network was so small. I feel so blessed now that Epicure has given me all these friends. I've got this wider network, and it just took having one host to expose me to those new people. So honestly, guys, and you can go into the new consultant workbook. I still refer back to that, and I've been with Epicure for 8.5 years. But there's one page on overcoming objections, and there's the list of the top 10 objections with Epicure when it comes to booking or sponsoring. And just think of a way that you can overcome that objection while you speak. Write it down on a little sticky note, like Charlotte said, and during your demo, address those objections that you're going to face later. All right. So now I'm going to pass it on. As I had said, Melanie's going to tell us all about watering. Melanie, do you have your little watering can here? Your metaphorical one? Take it away.
But I just love it, Julie, what you just shared. And it's just funny because, I planted cucumbers and tomatoes last year in the house. Nothing grew, but then this year, so maybe a week and a half ago, so my sprouts are like this high, so I'm like, okay, good, I'm doing something good this year. But it's I really love what you shared about not wanting to plant everything at the same time, because you don't want to be overwhelmed, and you don't want to have your garden be dried out like certain parts of the year. So bigger part, once you have people that as the other ladies I've talked about, you shared many sponsoring season. I'm just thinking of a video that I did earlier, and I'm sharing in my video something similar to what Miranda said, like that 10 years ago when I first started, I would have never been able to do a live video. So that one will not be live, but still just videotaping myself. So so that's something that I share in my videos. But once you have people that you've talked to at least a couple of times, either they've showed interest like to wanting to host a class or to know more about the Epicure business, you really want to follow up with them, and that you have to have a good system for starters. Some little tips that I wrote. I don't know if all of you knew that this exists like in the back office, prospect journal, sorry. So you can write the name, the date that you spoke with that person, or you met the person, personal information. Then you can write how, where you met, when you met them, special needs, if they're, if they have intolerances, allergies to something, if can write stuff about their family. Julie alerted to that as well. So what they love for fun and all that. Write lots of notes, and either if you're a paper copy person, you can do that. You can use your phone, you can use your agenda, making sure that you follow up. And each time, I know we shared that maybe in another training that we did past months, but if we offered a business opportunity, let's say if we offer to somebody to want to host a class, they could, say no, and that's okay. But the important part in all that, you have to circle back and ask them, is it no for now, or is it no forever? And you'll be quite surprised if you ask just that little question, because a lot of people, we're scared. A no is like, oh my God, this, we got shut down. What am I going to do now? But when they say no, not now, it just means that maybe just this week is not good. Could be like, let's say with the new catalog coming out on May 4th, could be like, okay, awesome, that would work for me, but April is too busy. So just make sure that you follow up with that. Again, going back to these sheets, you can print off like a multiple of these. So as you're doing cooking classes, you're meeting new people. Each time you have a new host, write the information down. Make sure that you follow up each cooking class, especially with your host, and offer her the business opportunity for starters. Let them know that that you'll be offering it to everybody in the class. So making sure that she's the first one that gets the heads up, let's say, about the possibility of being a member of your team. Just reading what I wrote. yeah, the big part is in all that is just making sure that you follow up and that you ask them, is it no for now or is it no forever? I've had team members, and I think Julie said that, I'm not sure what you referred to, the type of of seed that takes maybe 5 years. I have people in my team that I've circled back and I asked them multiple times and they're like, are you really crazy? Like, Melanie, I would never want to be a consultant. And then they just come back, a couple of months after or a year after, like, you know what, I should have said yes. Like, I just got scared and it's okay. So yeah, just make sure, yeah, to follow up, because you never know who could be a potential. But yeah, the important part as well, each time that you do follow up with the person, you ask them, is it okay if I do follow up with you, like, let's say in a month, or it could be just in a week, depending on the person. But a lot of people will tell you maybe like within the new catalog. Could be just as well, they may just waiting for a special, either a special host special, like something like we just had, like the $50 extra, let's say for last month. Some of my hostesses wait all year for the double host, that the way they call it. So could be something like that. Could be if somebody wants to join your team, same thing, like wants to join Epicure. Could be they may just be wanting to wait for a special time in the year for whatever particular reason. So just need to get to know them and to get to know why they're not saying no, why they're not saying yes at this moment. So that's the big part in all this, and to not be shy to go ask again, and to not be scared of the no. So that's my takeaway for tonight. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Melanie. And I like that. Don't be shy. And what you've done when you've planted these seeds during your class or in your VIP group, people won't be so shocked that you're asking them. You've already given them ideas. You've already shown them the perks of, what you're wanting to show them. And so you have to follow up. Otherwise, most likely, you could give all the booking seeds in the world and the person isn't going to approach you. But if you ask them after you've planted those seeds, then you've already given them something to think about throughout the night at your cooking class or throughout the week in your VIP group. So yeah, definitely follow up. Awesome. I love it. Well, I hope that you guys are getting some takeaways. I want to know, I don't know, Candice, has there been any questions in the chat? Does anyone have any questions at all? Now is your chance. You can pick our brains. If you want more examples of different kinds of seeds to use, we can do that now. We've got time. So let us know.
No questions. I think they're too busy trying to write as fast as they possibly can. So good thing this is recorded, because you can re-listen to all of that great information.
Julie, yes, pick our brains. That pun was totally intentional. No questions, guys?
I think the reason that this is kind of like my favorite analogy is because shortly after we got married, I stopped nagging my husband to do anything, and I started planting seed thoughts. That's what I told him. And I said, like, depending on the seed, how big it was, how much effort it took, and depending on the environment, some seeds were tougher to crack than others. Some seeds took 7 years. Like backyard chickens, some seeds were faster in the making, but this analogy really is helpful for me with booking seeds and sponsoring seeds. Once people have heard it, it will grow, especially if you do that watering and that follow-up. So thank you guys for that.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And you know what? It's so true. I loved a visual. And one thing that's really helped me is that if you just plant one seed and you're just staring at it, like, it's not going to just grow. But if every day you try to just plant one seed, then eventually those seeds will grow behind you as you keep planting, and you'll have this big long row and you'll have this nice healthy business. And I love it.
I just wanted to piggyback off of what you said, Miranda, just from our specifically to direct sales, to what we all do. They say that what you do now in your business will show up 3 months from now. So just like what Miranda said, so if you can, that's why I said about the consistency, that's probably the biggest key, is whether, you know, you're doing something in your group weekly or daily or in your cooking classes all the time, those sorts of things pay off. And then Katie, I have to say, I think I have maybe adopted your husband planting seed idea. I didn't realize over the last 23 years that I probably have been doing that. But I was also, when we came up with this idea, that was the whole thing, is that you're going to sort of like, spring is about planting the seeds. And then about 3 months from now, you guys are going to start to see all the seeds start to bloom and come to fruition. And some of these relationships are going to start to bloom and people are going to do more. And then fall is harvest time, my friends. Don't sit there now in the summer and take the time off and go, oh, when November comes and the big season, if you weren't doing anything in the summer, your fall harvest is going to be a barren field of, for you, those of you with the brown thumbs and the black thumbs, you know what I'm talking about. There's going to be nothing to harvest. So you have to start with that garden early.
It's like, I love that. I got to say this because your garden analogy, Julie, was like enormous, because like huge. The fact that some crops take 5 years and some crops take 1, or take weeks or months or whatever. I love that, because our business is about planting that future crop constantly. That's what seeds are about. They're about always making sure you have the next crop planted, because this crop's going to harvest. Some are going to join, some are going to stay with you, some are going to leave, some are just going to hang on. But if you're not constantly planting the next crop and the next row, to have that, in farming terms, continuous cropping, I think they call it, where you're constantly building that next, you're planting that next garden and that next row and that next row. That's how you never run out of bookings or never run out of sponsoring leads. When those specials come up, you have that whole little garden that you can go check in with, that 5-year plant and that 3-year plant and that 6-month plant. And I would guarantee that the majority of the people on this call weren't that 2-week crop. They were a 2 or a 3-year crop that took time to harvest. So I loved that analogy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say basically the same thing. I hope that anyone on this call, I talk like pretty openly with my team, like sometimes it's going to feel like nothing is growing, right? You feel like you have no bookings, no sponsoring, and so many people quit before they even get to harvest. Like anyone here in any kind of director role, like nod your head, because I know it's true for all of us. There have been seasons that sucked, right? Like just like a farmer, like the sun didn't shine and it was too rainy or whatever. You know what? If we had all quit, we wouldn't be here 6 to 23 years later, right? And it's so often that people quit before they even have a chance to bloom. That kills me, because this is the most amazing business opportunity for those who want to take it. And some of my best customers have just joined after 6 years of being customers. And some of my best consultants just over the last year have decided to step into leadership. You don't know where you're going to be and where it's going to take you. And it can feel really hard because school and work and jobs, we're always told what to do and we're doing it for someone else a lot of the time. This is different. You have to be the one who cares the most about your business to keep going. So it doesn't mean they're all going to be high, excellent, awesome harvest seasons, but it is such a well worth it journey. So that's like my pep talk for you.
I love it. Now, I think it was Julie who just asked us to say, how long did it take you to harvest? So I want to share this little story. And I have a family member who I saw this as a perfect fit for a few years ago. Someone who's in the restaurant business, just really bubbly, sweet girl, has a lot of friends, well-liked, I just knew this would be great for her. So, I asked her and it wasn't the right time. And, I kept planting those seeds anyways. And 3 years later, I finally came out and said, Dana, you need to do this. Are you going to do this? And she said, yes, she's watching tonight right here. Hi, Dana. It takes time. And so when you are planting seeds with people, you can't be discouraged if nothing is happening right away. You have to know and you have to believe that those seeds are going to grow. It takes time. It really does. But like we keep saying, if you keep planting those seeds, not just one, Don't just count on that one seed, but keep planting lots of seeds. Good things will happen.
And I think I just got to say this because someone said, Heather said she didn't even, seeds were so subtle. And that's the sign of a good farmer. People don't even know you're planting your seed, but the first time you offer it to them, they're like, yeah, because they've heard so much about it. It wasn't just an instant. Yes, it's been growing and they've been storing that information in the back of their heads. They may not mention it to you because they saw it. That's a good farmer, you guys.
All right, I'm going to start poking you people for some takeaways, whether you share them in the chat, but I see some brave people. One of them rhymes with Merle Mount. She would probably share a great takeaway. Holleen Turkoff, come on, you'd be another one. Marcy Fegan, don't make me call on you. Come on, you ladies, share some takeaways or share some of your tips and or questions.
I'll share my takeaway. I loved your entire analogy about the planting of the seeds and also about the timing, because like you said, you know, you plant one and it might sprout faster, but something else is going to sprout longer, take longer to sprout. But as long as you are consistent and you are continuing to plant those seeds and share them. And then what happens too is because you love the product, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be an Epicure consultant. So when you start talking about the products, the opportunity, what ends up happening is you become passionate about what you're doing. And so when you're starting to share about it, you're not being pushy and you're not being that, you know, that pushy salesy salesperson, because then what happens is it's all going to come out of you quite naturally. And it will all come out in just a natural form of a conversation. So when you get used to planting those seeds and you are consistent in doing what you do, then you're going to build a steady growing business. So I love that whole analogy.
I love it. It really does just come down to complimenting a person sometimes. And, you know, let's say you have that friend who is super organized. Just saying to that friend, you know, I wish I had more of you on my team. I wish I had more of you as teammates. That's a seed right there. You've given them something to think about without coming on too strong right away. You can continue to share and continue to plant seeds, but just compliment a person. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to feel good about themselves.
I just want to say, I love being blunt like that. It catches people off guard. You're like, do you realize how awesome you are? You know, you're like my dream person for my team. Because even if they're like totally caught off guard, sometimes they know, but sometimes they're like, they just like, that really makes them feel like, oh, she does have fun with me in her group. Like she is watching all my posts and all my comments. Like it's so fun. I think I just love that.
Yeah, it's so true. And especially if that person's on your chicken list, like you're a little afraid or a little intimidated, you don't want to ask. Saying something like that is easy, but it's fun and they feel good about themselves too.
Angel, I don't know who Angel, who you belong to, but you're asking about how to host a party. I would encourage you to connect with your leader. They can definitely help you with that. I'm guessing that you're pretty new. So I would say who's ever connect with your sponsor, find out who your leader is and connect with that person. They can definitely support you in getting your first class done for sure. Yeah, 3 weeks in. So connect with your leader if you haven't done that yet. Well, I'm going to share a little story here because she's not going to. I don't know where she disappeared to. She ran as soon as I mentioned her name, I think. Like there's Rosemary who's on the call. There she is, Rosemary. Rosemary, do you want to share how you came into the business? I think you should share it rather than me.
Sure. Just let me get my, 1 sec. I'm just going to get my kid to turn down the TV. Can you just mute that for a minute? Okay, so my lovely friend, Karen Cartmel, we met a few years ago, quite a few years ago. And I had an Epicure consultant already, but I got to know Karen, really liked Karen. I love supporting my friends. It's very important to me to build my friends up. So I ended up with 2 Epicure consultants. And I think after the first class, which was probably, well, 4 years ago, because Karen's celebrating 4 years, she just kind of chatted about the business. And no, I've been in direct sales. I've never liked it. It's, you know, I've never agreed with how the companies wanted you to promote them and their products. And like, it was never about me. So I said, no, I said, no, I said, no. She started taking me to little things. And that's how I met Candice at Candice's house. Karen brought me, and I remember telling Candice, there is no way that I am ever going to join. I am not doing this. I love supporting my friend, but I'm never going to do this. And I think that was probably 3 years ago. And then last June, I was involved with another direct marketing company that really, I didn't agree with the training. So of course they kind of ignored me. I didn't like how they did things. And I ran daycare from my home. I was exhausted. I was tired of raising other people's children. I mean, it's a great career if you love kids, but it is exhausting. I have 2 of my own kids. They're teenagers. You know, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm done. So I was looking for something else. I do crafts and I sell my crafts too. And I absolutely love that. But I knew that wouldn't be a job. So, or a career anyway. And then I got to thinking, you know, I have consistently had at least, if not more, 2 classes with Karen every year. I order from her every single month, at least once, if not twice or 3 times a month. And talking to my husband, he said, you know, you do whatever you want. Karen and I had a chat, and I said, you know what, let's give it a go. I'll give it 3 months. No, I said, I'll give it 6, I think. I said 6 months, I'll give it 6 months. I joined last June, ended up quitting my daycare job because I'd already made my income within 3 months. And the rest, I guess you could say, is ancient history. So I'm excited to see where I can take this. I'm very much a turtle, so slow and steady, but I will win that race, Karen.
I just love that because it goes to prove that no is not always no. Like, that was a hard no. And Rosemary's running for leader now. So you never know what, like, never give up on anybody. That garden kept getting watered and, you know, fertilized. Look what happens.
I think too, sometimes what happens is we see something in people that they don't see in themselves. So as much as you like, because sometimes when they say no, you kind of know that's like, no, not now, not right. And I bet you though, the way Rosemary said no was a little bit different. Like, you can sort of have that, I don't know if you want to call it a sixth sense or whatever, right? But sometimes you kind of know, okay, they've said no. It's like, yeah, no. But you see something in that other person, and then you know that, okay, I gotta, you know when to kind of slosh off a little bit, but keep on to that thread. So yeah, because the person that sponsored me into direct sales, when she offered it to me, I outrightly told her she was crazy. I said, you're crazy. I don't want to do this. That was 26 years ago. So there you go.
Well, I think Charlotte said something about watching people. So if Rosemary said no, but kept showing up to things,
right,
her actions weren't congruent with what she was telling you.
Exactly.
Right? So you got to kind of watch those kind of things.
Yeah.
And another thing though, and I remember it exactly because we were sitting across the street on the fence at the park across the street from my house, chatting about Epicure. And she never told me how, like, she told me how great the company was, but she kept on telling me how good I would be in this role, like you would love it, and this is for you. It wasn't like, oh, please join my team, like I need you. It was like, this is for you, not, you know, I need you to build my team or whatever. Like, she never mentioned it.
Perfect. Yeah.
You're exactly right, Pauline. My spidey senses definitely went off with Rose, and I knew it was only a matter of time, and I was fertilizing like crazy.
Probably, Karen, because you said no to me about 7 times when I asked you, so you kind of knew.
Maybe.
I'm just going to give a shout out to my friend Paula, who's on the call, because I know she's sitting here thinking, yeah, she's thinking about me, because she's been an awesome customer for 6 3/4 years. And she finally, the time was right. Sometimes for people, the time just has to be right. So it's just fun. This is so fun.
I think too, sometimes we forget that like Epicure is the perfect storm in the sense that it is a consumable product run by women that care about other women, that is very, very different from a lot of other direct sales opportunities that aren't consumable and that have a very different training model or lack of training model, and that are encouraging people to push and to burn out their customers. I think Epicure, and specifically some of these teams that are here together on this Tips from the Top, are very, very aware of planting and watering and it being about the other person and not all about what we want for ourselves too. And that might be the thing that speaks about Epicure and is different enough that a lot of people that would say no. And
I have another analogy. I think Katie's going to like this one. Just as she was talking, anyway, it brought up a memory. So I grew up on a farm. So that gardening and planting and all this kind of stuff. And when I made this kind of connection, it is kind of pivotal. But there is, as we're talking, and what I'm hearing is, as much as our spidey senses go off and you're thinking about people, like you're genuinely thinking, wow, Rosemary would be good at this. And like Miranda said, sometimes we are a little chicken and we don't want to ask. But I'm going to tell you, sometimes we get told by the people that they think they're giving us good business practices. And what happens is, if you drop too much manure on a seed, and for those of you that don't know manure, that word, I'll say it, shit. If you put too much of that on your garden, you will drown it out and nothing will grow. In fact, it will rot. It's going to smell terrible. Don't dump too much manure. And that is the stuff, that's the manure, is when you're coming from a place of not what the other person's interest. If you're gonna, this weekend we're gonna hear about where the incentive trip is. It's always based on sponsoring. If you're gonna start going around asking people to join your team because you want to earn a trip, that's manure. It's manure when you're saying, hey, I need you to join my team because I want to rank advance to leader. That you're gonna find out that's gonna stink real darn quick. So always make it about the other person, and you'll never have any trouble. And that's why sprinkling these seeds and sharing your stories is so genuine. People need to know you're real, and they will just naturally be attracted to you. And then when you say to them, hey, you know what, I don't know if you've ever thought about doing something like this, they're like, well, I just love her so much, I would just sign up and do whatever she wants because I like her. There you go. Oh, now I like the chat. Good one, guys.
Julie, can you write a book with all of your little analogies? I would buy it. New York Times bestseller. Don't shit on the seeds or something like that. I don't know what we can call it, but.
Well, while we're on that topic, I would do this at cooking classes. I don't do it as much on video because people could replay it back and show the CEO or the president or something. I used to tell people that 3 Onion was the be all, and I'd say, that commercial, the lady with the Frank's Red Hot sauce, you can put that on anything. I won't tell you how I used to demo the frother. And then there was also, see, some of you remember the frother. You might have done that demo. for those of you that we had a metal frother, and if you pumped it slowly up and down, it would start, the milk inside would start to get stiff. I'll leave it as that. And then one of my favorites is we used to have an ice cream scoop that you held onto the handle, and it would, you know, the scoop would heat up and it would make ice cream, you know, melt easier and for scooping. And I would always say, but you know, you might not realize this, but I'm allergic to ice cream because it attaches itself to various parts of my body. Extraordinary Cheese Dip does that too. So anyway, that's how I sell myself. I try to pretend I'm funny.
You are funny.
There you go. That's your tip from the top. I'm signing off.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, everyone. We love that we get so many people out at these monthly sessions. We hope that you're enjoying it. We do want to hear if you have any topics that you are looking for tips on, you know, just let us know. We can set it up. Maybe we'll even do like a survey in our group to find out what you guys are wanting. And yeah, but thank you all for being here. And thank you to our speakers. You guys are amazing. Oh, awesome. All right, everyone. We will get the recording up soon too, by the way. Thank you. Have an awesome night. See you at conference.